We are live. Let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are here for a special 4th of July recording. Actually, I was very surprised you had asked me to record this on 4th of July. We have Katie Stewart. How's it going?
It's going all right, yeah.
When you messaged me, I was like, actually, that does work. Like, I don't know what the plans are for tonight, but I feel like the weather's kind of already made my plans for the night.
Yeah, so. Truly. I mean, and I don't normally, I sound like such like unpatriotic, but I don't normally do anything on 4th. So I was like, hey, I'm available.
Sweet. I was talking to my sister before you got here. She was like, yeah, ever since we left South Chicago, because she lives in Indiana now, and obviously I live here, 4th of July just isn't the same. And I'm like, I get it. Like, yeah. 4th of July hasn't been the same since 2000, so it's like...
Yeah, true. Well, and I was just talking to a friend of mine that, you know, where I grew up, I was in, like, the downtown area, and so, like, parades or, like, Santa or, like, fireworks were so close, we didn't have to leave our house. Like, I mean, obviously, when Santa came to town, we had to, but, like, it was never a thing to get in the car and go and bring chairs because it was in our backyard, and so I just don't even think about it.
Absolutely. It's, like... I can't even step out onto my deck here to watch fireworks tonight, so it's just like, I'm good.
Yeah, I don't even know if they'll do it with the rain. Probably I don't know how that goes.
Well, I thought I saw that a lot of it was going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or at least a lot of the city stuff, maybe. I don't know. I could be 100% wrong with it being a Friday. Who knows anymore? Yeah. So you're based out of here in Waco, or are you in like China Springs or?
So I'm in Waco, and we were just saying I moved here about 13 years ago. Pardon me. And I moved here. My grandmother and my dad and my stepdad were all from Waco, and so I've actually like grown up coming to Waco for most of my life. And then my grandmother got kind of sick, and I was in Fort Worth at the time, and I just felt like, you know, if she needed me, an hour and a half was just too far to feel urgent, you know. So yeah.
Waco's got some cool history. Once I like really got to dig in and learn about some of the stuff that was going on here. Yeah, it's like that's a
very complex history.
Yeah, and I'm talking like even before Chip and Joanne came here.
Oh, for sure, way back.
One of my buddies that I work with, he was like, I remember Joanne when she was working at her dad's tire shop over on like whatever street it was, and I was like, dude, you might want to travel a little bit more if you
right.
But you know, I just say that to get on him a little bit because.
Well, I mean, I think like for my grandmother, you know, she was from Tours and they moved to Waco when she was, you know, in I guess junior high or so. But she was a box office girl at the Waco Hippodrome and was in the box office when the 1953 tornado was coming through. Oh wow! And she stayed in the box office, and I don't know, an officer or somebody said, what are you doing? And she said, I didn't want to leave the box office. And he was like, a tornado's coming. So, you know, if you've seen the pictures of that tornado, I mean, she's really lucky that she was where she was, you know. Yeah,
they talk about, so I work for the ABC station here in town.
Oh, cool, okay.
And so they talk about that tornado. They talk about the 1920 F5 thing that destroyed all of downtown, like, that and then the West explosion.
Right.
It's
and all the complex history from, you know, it goes on and on. Waco's a very interesting place. I mean, I kind of joke and say that Waco is what Austin was like 30 years ago. You know what I mean?
Which that's scary because
I know. I hope it doesn't become
you see where Austin's at right now, and it's like, oh no.
Yeah, if we could just slow down that momentum, you know, that'd be great.
I keep telling everybody, I was like, you're gonna have this southern metroplex down in Austin. The way Austin and San Antonio are kind of growing right now, that's gonna be like a southern metroplex, and it's gonna be like, well, and Waco's just kind of in the middle. Yeah. So, like, the only difference is they've got the base right there, and so that's just going to kind of continue to feed. So it'll be crazy. So how long have you been doing music professionally?
So I started playing live in 2014, so I guess was that 11 years. But I grew up playing classical piano. So about, 6, 7, probably closer to 7, I started competing, and, you know, we did recitals and that sort of thing. So I've been performing in front of people since I was a small child. And so, but as far as what I'm doing now and guitar and singing and all of that, it's been on and off about 11 years. I've had small hiatuses for, deaths in the family, or, I went back to school, I got married, had a baby, certain life events have kind of postponed certain performing times.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. So you were in Waco once you kind of made that transition.
Kind of, yeah. So I was living in Fort Worth, and I had always wanted to play guitar. Piano is, I love the piano still. It's my first instrument, but it's something I always wanted to do. And I always wrote like poetry and, just the written word sort of thing. And I started playing guitar, but when I moved to Waco, I kind of got involved in this group of like songwriters and artists, and really kind of like this unspoken collective. And that kind of opened my world. And that changed my style some. And they are the ones that said, okay, like, you're playing covers, but do you have any of your own music? And I've mentioned this before in another interview that, when I was playing piano, you have your sheet music, you're like bound to what's on the page, which is fine, but if you want to transpose something, well, you're going to rewrite the whole manuscript, and that's very difficult for classical music. So when it was like, I can write it in any key and I can transpose it and I can sing whatever I want to, it was like, what just happened? Just a huge explosion of creativity and freedom just kind of happened.
Right. That's, it's always really cool to kind of see that transition from a more classical upbringing to kind of having that freedom of doing your own thing, writing your own music. I've sat with a lot of musicians that come up doing whether it's like doing classical piano type stuff like you did, or if they came up doing like opera or theater or doing stuff like more traditional music, and just kind of watching them experiment with the freedom that they get, but also still holding on to some of those traditional things that they've learned on how they sing and how they so it's very interesting. Like, they're very precise and clean in their music, especially when they sing. But they're singing this song that's like really, it needs a little bit more grit. So it's almost like their voice is too perfect for the music that they're writing. And it's like, you got to let that go.
Well, and I think what like proper traditional training or lessons or whatever you want to call it, it gives you such a solid foundation of just basic understanding of how music is, when you're talking about themes or you're talking about dynamics. And, oftentimes when I hear any kind of music, I'm always thinking, okay, like, have we just come out guns blazing and are we staying at 100% the whole time? And even I have to like be more conscious of that. Like you say, like I'm more aware of it, going, okay, am I giving it too much? Do I need to have more dynamics? And you just have a deeper understanding when you have a little bit more of that traditional training before branching out into something else.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's kind of like that transition when they went from in film. So I went to school for film. That's where I started. Oh, cool.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Like the original, like when they first started doing film, it was all theater actors, and they had to play to the back of the room. I kind of feel like that's a very interesting parallel between the transition from classical music to like more your music, I guess is the best way to kind of call it. So it's interesting to watch it unfold, and once musicians kind of get it, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I think about that often. Like, I remind myself, okay, because so many times, we've sat around a room playing music, and I have to remind myself, like, I might, yes, I need to project, but I don't have to go hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you made the transition and you started pursuing your own music, who were you kind of listening to at that point, like, as far as music goes?
So, man, a lot. So to go back before then, I have been always exposed to just a wide variety of music, whether that's country, gospel, 80s pop, Frank Sinatra, like a whole gamut of music. But when I moved here, right before I moved here, I had like no money, and I had gone to the Fort Worth Library, and I was just like looking at what I could check out, and I got I think it was a CD of Ramblin Jack Elliott, and I was just like, I think it's called Long Ride. I think it was the Long Ride album of Ramblin Jack Elliott, and St. James Infirmary's on that, and I do that song many times. And that just kind of like turned a switch on. I was like, I really like that. And then when I moved here and I met my group of friends, we were talking about Katie Stewart. Of course, I'd always loved Willie Nelson. I really got into Bob Dylan. Loved Bob's older material. I was listening to Blind Willie McTell. I was listening to Lightnin' Hopkins, Chris Smither, Bill Bourne. I mean, just a wide, random array of people that were either dead or less known, I guess, because I felt like I had such a wide variety of material that was mainstream that I was aware of. Yeah. And it was like, here was this whole pocket, like Leon Redbone. I didn't know about him. You know, I listened to Leon Russell and all this little pocket of like really great music that I just was completely unaware of.
Yeah. You brought up an interesting point, and I don't think a lot of the young kids out there watching right now are going to understand. Back in the day, we used to have to go to the library to listen to music for free.
Yes. Yeah. So be thankful that is not the case anymore.
Right? I remember just going to the library, and we'd go randomly pick out a CD, like something that we thought our parents listened to. It's like, and that's how we got introduced to like Pearl Jam and just some of the most random stuff.
Yes.
And it's like, okay.
Yeah, if you didn't have the big album to like thumb through of your CDs of your parents, then it was the library.
Oh yeah, because you weren't going to go to the store and buy. Oh, I'm going to go spend $11, $12, whatever it was on
more. I mean, I feel like it was more than. Well, it may have been around that, and it felt like $20. Right. You know.
I mean, when you're 10, 11, 12 years old,
right? That's a chunk of change.
Yeah, $11 is $11. Like, holy cow. So. You were made that transition into kind of your own music, and do you think the music you were listening to at that time helped you mold who you wanted to be as a musician, or did it kind of just was that just kind of what you were listening to and it had no real impact on who you wanted to be?
I think the blues definitely had an impact on me.
I picked up on that.
Yeah, and I am very drawn to the blues, but I think. You know, I listened to a lot of Willie Nelson. I mean, I do, and I did, especially during that time. But I think I took a little bit of a lot of things. You know, I really loved Willie's writing style, simple but effective. I loved Blind Willie McTell's. Again, his style is wonderful, but plus his simplicity. And I think, you know, listening to Bob Dylan. Just the variety of that. I mean, I was listening to Blood on the Tracks. I was listening to, I can see the cover. I can't think of the album right now, but Bringing It All Back Home. I think it just helped to kind of continue with that freedom of opening my mind of, okay, I've been walking this same, you know, way. Like, why does it have to be this way? Let's open it up. And so I definitely think like little pieces here and there contributed to the whole picture.
I've started listening to Willie Nelson. Every road trip I go on, I kick it off with a little On the Road Again.
Of course. I like to do that too.
I love it when I go through Baylor listening to that song, knowing that he will never be able to play it on Baylor campus again.
Oh, Willie, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a meme on Facebook the other day where it's like, list of school Willie Nelson cannot play. And it just had Baylor, and I'm like,
of course. Yeah.
That tracks.
Yeah. Exactly. Tracks. Exactly.
So where you kind of like you released a full length album in 2023, not 2013, 2022. Where are you kind of at creatively right now? Are you kind of in the process of writing, recording, just focusing on playing?
Yeah. So there were several tracks that I did not get on Haunted for a variety of reasons. I wasn't ready to do it. I didn't have the money to do it. And I didn't want to make the album too long, being my first one. So I have a few songs that are kind of like I call my leftovers. But I've written probably, 2 or 3 new, maybe more than that actually, new songs lately, in addition to a handful of songs that I haven't done before. So I'm hoping to start recording in January. I'm playing with Jay Smith now. He's my lead guitarist, and he's fantastic. Nice. I'm really thankful I found him, because I wanted a guitar player for a long time, just to start, elevating my sound. I love the acoustic style, but especially with trying to get different shows and gigs at different venues, having a little bit larger presence in terms of not just being a solo act, kind of opens that up for me.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that Jace is able to play on most of those, if not all of them.
Yeah. I need to get back into the Waco scene a little bit because a lot of the people that I was originally introduced to when I moved here, they are no longer in Waco. So it's like, I know a few people that are like actively playing in Waco, but I don't know outside of that.
You just need to come out and listen to some music and connect.
Well, it's the thing, like, the closest thing for me is the Lakeside Tavern.
Oh, yeah, that.
And every time I go in there, it's just like, this is an old person bar. I hate to say it that way.
So I have a funny story about Lakeside. So when I first moved here, I was in China Spring, and I was with an ex-boyfriend, obviously now, but we didn't, I mean, he had lived in Waco before. I had never, obviously my grandmother was here, but that was kind of the closest place to go. And so we went to Lakeside, and some of my first friends that I'm still friends with now were from Lakeside, and he actually ended up leaving for travel, for work, and I felt so comfortable to go into Lakeside by myself. I had so much fun. You'd walk in, and it was like Cheers. Somebody's going to know your name. You're going to know somebody there, and it was like I hate to say this, but it was like a second home for a long time. That sounds terrible, but
it's fair though. And like now that China Springs grown up so much, like I say grown up, but just kind of blossomed.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of places down on China Spring Highway they're starting to introduce some music, and they're starting to do some stuff, and it'll be really interesting to watch it unfold.
Yeah,
over the next
for sure.
Couple of years. So, but I usually go to not Shorty's. I mean, I go there, but not to listen to music. They're not playing music, but Southern Roots. They've started doing some music.
I played there a handful of times. Yeah, they're great. I always have a nice time playing there. The staff and the management's great.
How often do you play out right now?
Gosh, it's really been all over the map. So this past month in June was a little bit busier, but I always kind of have this thing where, like, in the winter, I don't like to play much because the weather is so shitty, and shows get canceled because of the weather, and it's just like, you got the holidays. I have a toddler now, so it's like mass chaos. So I wanted to play more this summer, but it was like the summer just kind of creeped up on me, and I'm still wanting to play for sure right now, but it's just been really sporadic.
Well, right now the weather's just been very unpredictable.
For sure.
Over the last couple month and a half, it's like, aren't we usually supposed to be drying out right about now?
Right. It's been very strange.
Yeah, and like the fact that it's not even hit 100 yet.
I know.
Like, that just
it's wild.
Feels weird.
Yeah, which I'm kind of okay with because I like to play outside in the summer, and so those are really hard gigs.
Yeah, we did a live show, or we did like a live podcast showcase thing down in Bastrop.
Oh, I think I maybe heard that episode.
Yeah. And this was we did it on June 1st, and I was like, you know what? It's not. When I originally scheduled it, I was like, it's going to be warm, but it's not going to be too bad. And it was like one of the warmest days of the year. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, I looked at my buddy Jeff, who was my co-host, and I was like,
here we go.
Hey, man, sorry. I thought it was going to be, I knew it was going to be warm. I didn't know it was going to be this warm. Yeah. So we're going to just have to kind of roll with it. And as we're tearing down, I just looked at him. He just saw like this sunken look in my face, and he's like, go sit in the air conditioning. You're about to fall out. Because he works outside in the summer in 120 degree. Like,
no
so
big deal,
he's used to it. And I'm like,
dying.
I sit inside all day and work and play at a computer. So like, I can handle it. But like when I slept for about 3 hours last night and haven't had any water yet today.
Awful. Yeah.
So yeah, it was bad. Very bad. So you said you're hoping to get into the studio come January.
Yeah.
Do you record here locally?
So I'm going to. So Haunted, I recorded some in Austin at Orb Recording Studios, I think is their full name. And then I did some with, I think it's Renowned Sound Productions with my friend that I know. He's great. I feel comfortable with him, and it was affordable. And I do think being in a place where you're comfortable totally changes the vibe of the album. I had a great time at Orb. I met some awesome people, and I did get some good recordings out of there, but it's like it's home here.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where because with music, obviously I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. A lot of the times you're making yourself so vulnerable, and you're putting yourself in interesting mental states.
For sure.
And it's like, if you're just doing it in front of somebody that this is just another paycheck to them and they don't really care.
Right.
And
they're just waiting for you to get done recording.
Yeah.
Are we ready to go now?
And it's like, well, because I've done that a couple different times doing some different projects and whatnot where I have to put myself in a certain headspace and then it just gets over me. And it's like, oh man, if I would have like gone crazy, they would have probably just kicked me out and thought I was some kind of psycho.
Well,
like,
yeah. I mean, and especially with like Haunted, you know, some of those songs were, you know, deeply personal. And, you know, and they were like, well, is that about this? And you're just like, okay, whatever. You know, you just kind of eye roll. Like, I'm not even, you know, I don't want to have to go through the whole explanation process. Right. And if you know me and if you've seen me perform and you've been around, you know those songs, you know? And so, I totally get what you're saying for sure. So
for Haunted, how long was that album kind of in the process?
Oh gosh. Let me think about that. So my daughter was born in 2022 and I started recording it before I was pregnant, actually. So I started recording it and then I had hoped to get it done sooner, but you know, with like preparing for a baby, that kind of delayed. But I also, I thought I wanted to do the album art myself. And I was, you know, as they say, like you're too close to the project. And so Gil Schuler, I think I'm saying his last name right. I'm not sure. Now I'm having second thoughts. But his name is Gil. A friend of ours from my songwriter group, he knows Gil and connected me with him. And so I felt like once I connected with Gil, it was like it rolled a lot faster because I didn't have any album art. You know, it's like, okay, well, I can't have a product without a visual. So yeah, I guess it took, you know, about a year and change.
Okay. So it was like tail end of the pandemic, is that? Or?
Yeah, that's fair to say, for sure.
Because I'm sitting here trying to do the math in my head, and I was like, well, the pandemic.
Yeah. And I wanted to do stuff. I mean, I wanted to record an album for a long time, and it just either hasn't been the right time or, you know, a variety of reasons.
Was there like a moment that kind of hit you like, okay, now is the time?
Yeah, I think it was the pandemic. Honestly, it was like, you know, I had wanted to get into film and acting and that sort of thing, and it's always been part of my performing artist journey, that's something I wanted to do. And I thought, okay, like if the world ends, like you never know what's happening with COVID. I know that's like really extreme, but like, you know, I think we all had some really deep self-reflection at that time. And so for me, it was like I wanted to do an album so bad, and it was like, okay, just do it. Like, quit talking about it. What are the sacrifices you're gonna have to make, and do it. You know. And so that's kind of where I was, where I'm like, okay, it's time.
100%. You know, it's like you'd mentioned the pandemic was like this really. I'm gonna say interesting because I feel like that's the best way to kind of word it.
The safe way to approach it.
It was this time for a lot of people, and I feel like a lot of musicians in general just kind of reevaluated their approach to music.
Absolutely.
Like, do I love this? Do I even want to be a musician? Do I, like, it's going to get harder because, like, the pandemic just set everything back 3 years, essentially, because, especially for, like, touring musicians, and if you're, like, an up-and-coming musician, it's like, well, that just set your career back 3 years. And I don't mean that figuratively. I mean that literally, because they had to cancel so many shows and so many tours that it's like, okay, it's going to take us 3 years to get caught back up.
Right.
And now the whole balance of like where musicians can play is kind of set out of whack. And now we're really back into the mix where it's like, okay, everything's kind of open. Yes, people are oddly booking out way far ahead of time, which is, you'd think that wouldn't be such a thing anymore, but it is. Like, I contacted a venue to do another live showcase, and they're like, oh, we're booked through all the way to 2027 or something.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you have people that are...
That's really far.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, a little too far.
Yeah, it's like, that's 18 months.
Like, I'm all for like a year, maybe a little over a year, but like, that's kind of extreme. Well, I'm like, wait, what year are we in? Yeah, that's a little extreme.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, well...
Can I get on the books?
Can I get on the books for 27 then? And then we'll just figure it out from there. And they're like, we're not booking 27 yet. And I'm like...
What?
I've had that happen more than one time. And it's just like...
That's weird.
Wait. You're booked out 18 months, and I just want to get on your schedule at some point, and you're not going to put me on your schedule? Like,
Yeah,
okay,
that's weird.
Whatever. And it's all what? No, I was going to blame West Texas, but I feel like West Texas gets the blame for a lot of stuff.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
It's Lubbock, man. I don't know. So kind of moving forward, do you have any upcoming shows that are on the books, or is
Not at the moment. So last week, I guess I don't even know. Last week or last couple of weeks have been kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I did. I had 2 shows and then a live stream show as well. So it was really a unique thing because every single one of them was like slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually like more film.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I struggle with is I don't have a lot of footage.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people this all the time. It feels so unnatural for me to film myself. And like I was going to talk about that with the pandemic, a lot of musicians were doing like these like live stream, or like lives on social media. And it would just, I thought about it and I was like, this just feels weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thrive on like, in-person engagement. And so it just felt strange. But anyhow, I've already lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
Upcoming live shows.
Yeah. So I did those, and that was cool. But I don't have anything. I don't have anything right now lined up.
I was watching your Zach Owens show.
Oh yeah.
Interview. It took me a minute to find it because that dude does stuff
all the time. Yeah.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right. I think it was on the 25th. So let's scroll down.
Yes, they do stuff. I think every day.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's like 2 hours every day. And
yeah.
It's like, I did that during the pandemic, and then I was just kind of good.
Yeah.
I was just, And then I started moving to these more in-person ones because I was doing them on Zoom all the time.
Okay.
And it got so weird that I had somebody that lived right up the hill here, and we were doing it on Zoom. And I'm like, dude, just
come do it in person.
Let's do it downstairs.
Yeah.
And I think it was like towards the tail end of the pandemic, and it was just like, all right, whatever. And so then I just kind of stayed on Zoom and just kind of kept having those repeat situations where it's like, you're literally down the road like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Can we do this in person?
Well, I listened to your episode with, forgive me, I don't remember her name, but I think she was Swedish, maybe?
Okay.
Maybe it was Sweden.
How long?
I don't remember. You'll have
see.
to go back, viewer, and scroll through. But I remember thinking, okay, now that makes sense. Okay, obviously.
Yeah.
But whenever you were like, let's meet in person, I was like, all right, cool. Because, it's just, virtual is just weird.
Right. And for me, it was the whole thing of, I really want to focus on people that are supporting the Texas scene right now. That are coming through Texas. I've talked to a few people that are like, every time I have a musician or had a musician on Zoom be like, yeah, come through Texas. We'll do one of these in person. Oh, I'd love to do Texas, but I don't know where to book. And I'll send them like a whole laundry list of places. Yeah. It's like from Dallas to San Antonio and beyond.
The 35 corridor.
Yep, you got the 35 corridor. Most of these places, you don't even have to take 5 minutes off of 35, and you're good. And none of them have booked a run or anything. And it's like,
I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I feel very lucky to be in Waco, which I never thought in my wildest dreams I would live in Waco. But it's true. Like, you're not far from Dallas. You're not far from Fort Worth. I mean, it's all manageable trips. Now, Houston's a little bit of a push.
Yeah.
But
because there's not a major highway.
Yeah, I'm like, Houston, it's just so long. Which is so dumb. Like, there's nothing to complain about. No. But it's like, it's stupid convenient that you can't really complain about where we are, you know?
And plus, you've got Waco, that's like an hour, an hour from here. Waco's got a really cool venue out there. Have you played Waco Hall?
Is it Waco Hall? Is that what you're talking about? Okay,
Yep.
So I think I've been by there. I went like a year ago. I was out there like just having a girls' day, or maybe longer. I can't remember. And I was like, I want to come back and play here. They even have like a little winery downtown. Oh. It's like a little happening place.
Yeah. They do songwriter showcases or not showcases, but they'll do like a songwriter set on Sundays. I think it's like late afternoon, maybe early evening.
Oh, cool.
So
I need to check that out.
Not too bad. And then they have shows on Fridays and Saturdays, and it's just like cool.
Yeah. And that part of Texas, I think, is so beautiful. When you start going out Valley Mills and Clifton, it's so beautiful out there.
Yeah. once you get past Sweetwater, it all
changes.
It all changes. That's what I tell everybody. It's like, oh, you're heading west in Texas. Once you get past Sweetwater,
let me know how you feel.
Let me know how you feel. Like staying on 20 there, it's not bad. But the second you have to get off, it's like, all right, sorry, West Texas, but that's just how it is, you know. Do you travel out to West Texas?
I haven't. I wanted to do, before I was with my husband, I wanted to do like this like northeast little trek. I wanted to go, I forget now, but I had it all like mapped out, and I was going to go to like Moab and then like work my way back down maybe through Colorado. But it just never happened. The timing wasn't ever right. Yeah. I had gone back to school in 16. And then I was with my husband at the time, and then we got engaged. My mother died. My grandmother died. We got married. COVID happened, you know, just like a shit show. And so it never happened. And now I have a toddler, so it's going to be further delayed.
Right. But you know what, though? Moab, if you get a chance to go and do that run, because I've done that run a couple different times.
Okay.
Going north up through Utah, or even south through Utah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, we stop in every time we do that trip, because we'll go up we usually just go to Salt Lake City.
Okay.
We won't go into like the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Because we don't really have a whole lot of connections there.
Sure.
But every once in a while we'll go like further north and go up into Montana.
I've never been. I want to go to Montana.
Montana's cool. Just make sure you have really good cell signal.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
And
fair.
gas is like stupid expensive there. Like,
so extra gas and like an extra big like cell phone, satellite phone.
Yes. Because last time we went to Montana, this was when I was, honestly, it wasn't even that long ago. I have this thing when I do road trips like that, we don't stop at hotels.
Okay.
So we drive through the night. So it's like there'll be 3 or 4 of us, and then it's like,
just
all right,
rotate.
Everybody. You get 9, or you have to drive for at least 3 hours at some point in the night. So you do whatever you want to do in the meantime.
Yeah.
And so one of the guys, we just got done with the set. He's like, hey, I'll take the first set and I'll just go until I can't go anymore.
Sure.
And then you guys just figure it out the rest of the way. And I'm like, okay, cool. I set the GPS. We go. I was like, I'll get us down the hill, because the hill, like we were up in a mountain or something. Okay. And I was like, it's kind of tricky. I feel better if I do it. He's like, okay, that's fine. So I got us to a gas station, let him drive. I wake up like 4 hours later. I'm like, where are we? I was like, dude, I don't know. Your phone died, and I haven't been able to get a signal, and so I've just been driving. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Okay.
That's the worst.
Why didn't you like wake me up? He's like, dude, I tried. And I'm like,
but you didn't try hard enough.
First of all,
yeah.
I know I'm a deep sleeper, but if somebody's shaking me,
yeah. Well, this is a valid reason to like assure that this person wakes up.
Yeah,
like, we need to sort this out.
Stop the car. Like the second the phone died, stop the car. Be like, hey man, your phone died.
What do you want to do?
And get up. Yeah. And it's like, okay, fine. You know.
Right.
And so it was just like he'd been circling for 4.5 hours, and I'm like, dude, we just filled the tank. He's like, yeah, I've been circling for 4.5 hours, and I'm like, you burned an entire tank of gas.
Wow. And
like we're talking gas was like $5 a gallon.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, calm down, you're fine. And so I just happened to have my work phone with me. I was like, okay, I'm gonna break out the work phone. It was half charged. I was like, at least it'll get us on the expressway. We were in East Montana.
Oh my God.
We were supposed to be in West Montana heading south.
Oh
like we were on the completely opposite end of the state, and I'm like, you realize where we're at? And he's like, no, I have no clue. And I'm like, we are on the complete wrong side of the state, and now I have to call these 3 others.
This is why you need a map,
right?
Like a hard copy map.
Right. And so after that, he always brought his Garmin, but it was so out of date.
It probably didn't even know the roads.
Yeah, it didn't know. So he would come in from they lived out in New Mexico, and they would come into Waco, and they'd go like the way north route, go into Dallas, and then come down 35.
Oh God.
And I'm like, what time do you guys? Because they told me it's like, oh, we're gonna leave at like 10 p.m. or something, and we'll be at your place before you go to work. And I'm like, cool. I'm sitting there, and it's 10 a.m. in the morning.
And they're still not there?
They're still not here.
What?
I call them. I'm like, where are you guys? And they're like, well, we're coming into Waco now. And I'm like, did you guys stop somewhere? No, we just been driving. I'm like,
oh my God.
Did you guys go through Amarillo or something? And they're like, no, we went through Dallas. I was like, what the hell are you going through Dallas?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
And he was like, that's the way my Garmin told me to go. And I'm like,
so I have a song, it's called What Kind of World? It's one of the new songs. And I talk about that, about people being so dependent on GPS, which is true. I mean, like, I am just as guilty when I'm, but I do, like, I am one of those weird people. I have a full out map. It's probably dated, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I try to know my sense of direction, but.
Well, I mean, Texas is really easy to navigate. Like,
I think so.
It's not that hard. Like, if you're unsure of where to go, if you're trying to head east, get on 20 east and just go.
Yeah.
Get on 30, or not 30 east, but 20 east and just go. If you're a little bit further south, get on 10 east and just go.
Yeah.
And yes, you're going out of your way probably, but at least
it'll get you there sometime.
Yeah, you're at least going in the right direction and not the complete wrong direction.
Yeah. Well, and Texas is so open, and it's like you're not driving in a mountain where you're going this way and this way and this one, and you're going to 30 miles an hour and you can't get anywhere.
Oh, yeah. I love driving between Austin and San Antonio, where that speed limit is like 85 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
go.
Let's go. It's not long enough, but, it is what it is. So, outside of music, what do you like to get into?
Oh, man. Outside of music, I love to garden. I play golf when I can, which is very far and few between. But honestly, I love spending time with my friends and playing music. Yeah. But when I'm at home with my daughter, I have a piano in my house, and so I've always given her free reign to go play when she wants to, and nice. So she's learned we just use our finger. Obviously she doesn't know how to play yet, but I love seeing her kind of take in the music. And but I love to garden. I like to draw. I like to play cards.
Fair. Do you when you do get a chance to play golf, do you play over? I'm guessing you play here in town. So
I play at Lake Waco some, Cottonwood, but I'm a 9-hole kind of girl. Yeah. I get tired. I'm like, I'm ready for lunch. Yeah.
I played golf last summer for we'd signed up for a tournament at my day job, and after 3 holes, I was like, guys, I ain't played golf in 15 years. I'm good. I don't want to play no more. It's like, well, we got to play all 18 holes. It's a tournament, and I'm like, well. You see, it's a best ball tournament.
Oh, was it a scramble?
Yeah, it was like a scramble. And it was
I'm just going to watch.
And so I was just like, just to make everybody happy, I'll tee off. But then I'm going to just magically not finish the hole. Because I know Grant over here, he's going to do way better than I am. Emily over here, she's going to do way better than I am. Yeah. So I'm going to just tee off. And then that'll be that.
Well, for the longest, I would play 9 holes because... my grandpa, I would play, and then he would go, we would eat, and he used to play 18 all the time, but, well, and I played in high school, and it was I didn't really care in high school. I didn't apply myself the way I could have. Does anybody really? I mean, does any musician actually apply themselves in high school? Probably not. But, I didn't understand, I'm going to play golf every day for free. But in high school, those tournaments, we had to walk, which I do like actually walking. But we had to walk and play in the heat and play 18 holes. And it's if I don't have to do that, I'm not going to do it. Right. I get half the green fees and
I tried out for the golf team in high school, and it was a week-long tryout.
Oh, wow.
And it was just okay, you're going to go play 18 holes every day.
Oh, gosh. That's a little intense for high school, I feel like.
It is what it is.
Was this in Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too much.
And so I was just okay, cool, whatever. I'm going to go play. And then my dad was the first year I didn't make the team. And then the second year I didn't try out. And they're like, dude, we didn't even have enough people to build a team. You would have made the team had you just tried out. And I'm like, well, I really don't care about golf. Yeah. It's just one of those things. Yeah. But then I was playing, or my dad and I were going to go golfing one day. I was like, hey, I've played over here a whole bunch when I was trying out in high school. You want to go play there? And he's like, wait, that's where they take you? $100 a round. And I'm like, wait, they're just letting a bunch of high school kids play on this golf course? And he's like, I'm going to take you to East Chicago and we're going to go play. It's $20.
There you go. There you go.
All right, fair enough. And then all you have to do is worry about getting shot.
No big deal.
No big deal. It is what it is. But so just kind of looking forward, you said you're hoping to get recording in January and doing it. Have you kind of figured out who locally you want to work with?
Yeah. So I met with him, I don't know, probably 2 weeks ago or so, to just kind of get an outline of our timeline going. So I hope, I don't see any reason why I can't, but the aim is to release it next year. Yeah. I just need to finalize the tracks. I think I know everything that I want to do and just double check my copyright and do all that kind of stuff. Just housekeeping, and then really just kind of nail it down.
Yeah. And it'll be another full album.
Right. I'm thinking maybe 12 songs, maybe 10.
Nice. It's cool to see the full album still being a thing, you know. Obviously, the way the industry is right now, it's like very singles driven.
Yes.
But when musicians are like, you know what? I'm going to release a full album.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. Like, for example, I really got into Coulter Wall a couple of years ago. And I still have Coulter Wall. But like, I was consuming those albums. And then he came out with little songs. And I got like an email or something. And immediately I went and listened to it, the whole thing. Yeah. And it's a great album. And so, you know, I think especially when you're following an artist that you really love, like for me, Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, if you really want to take it in, that's the way to do it. And, you know, especially with their older albums, and I feel like Coulter Wall did a great job too, is, you know, it's thematic. It has something to say, you know, and I feel like when you have a single, which is great, like I've thought about doing a single, but I'm like, I'd rather just do an album. You know, singles are fine, but when you have an album, you really get a full taste of what that is for that artist.
100%. Now, are you going to do like physical copies as well, or will it all be
so
digital?
I really want to do vinyl. My first one I thought I might be able to do, but I was just on such a strict budget. Even now, like the only merch I have is my shirt. You know, I want to do hats and stickers and all the things, but I always say like I'm a one-woman kind of show, and so I'm just doing the best I can. Right. So I would love to do, and I wanted to do like a colored pressed wax. Yeah. So I hope I can do vinyl. I'm really hoping that I can do that.
The vinyl is starting to come down in price a little bit. I'm seeing all these ads.
I hope so. I really hope so, because it's something I have always wanted to do. Yeah. Like Spotify, this is so embarrassing. But I am an old school Christmas music kind of girl. And so I don't like the new stuff. I listen to all like the really old cheesy Christmas music. And I listened to it so many times that they had like a special, which they tell you this, so maybe this is not true. But they had a special offer that you could buy that playlist on vinyl, and it was a green record. Nice. And I was like, oh, this makes my soul so happy. And so I would love to do it on like a colored vinyl, but we'll see.
Yeah, I've seen some. There's this new, I don't know if it's new, but they're doing like picture vinyls now.
What's a picture vinyl?
So I think I was looking at a Billy Strings album.
Okay.
And so the vinyl is a tire. So it's got like the chrome, chrome.
Like there's like a picture on the vinyl.
Yeah, there's like a picture on the vinyl. And I'm like, that's
cool.
Sick looking.
Is it on both sides of the record?
I don't know.
That's so cool.
I don't know. I really... Like, I want to buy it just to kind of find out. Like, I've got the vinyl collection.
You need to add it to your collection.
Yeah. And it's just like, I saw that and I was like,
that's cool. That's really cool.
And then you got the people that are just doing like the tie-dye. Like, they're just throwing random color pellets into
Okay, now you got me going. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah. But there's also a lot of, I feel like, there's a lot of local places that are trying to press vinyl. Like,
I think there's a big place in Austin. Or I say big place, but, you know, I think it's like more of a local. But yeah, I felt like I wasn't ready to buy like hundreds, you know? Like, I need to like expand my following before I invest in like all this storage for all these records.
And that's the crazy thing, because you see all these like online, they'll promote that they're like, oh, hey, we'll do limited pressings, like 50, whatever. We'll even do one pressing. And it's like, you go and look at it, and it's like a $200 vinyl. And it's like,
it's like,
to get a one-off, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't need a $200 record.
Right? It's like, but like, I like the like 50, and you can get into it for like $25 a piece.
Yeah.
That's kind of the price point.
Yeah.
That's not bad. It's a cool little, like, hey, you've been riding with me for a while.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I had hoped initially with Haunted was to be like, okay, just get a small batch, and you know, anybody that like pre-ordered or whatever, like they would get that vinyl, and then it is what it is. But I don't know. I'm considering maybe doing like what do they call it, like crowdfunding or something. I've never done that before, and so I want to see like if I actually want to do that, because then I'm like, I owe all this like responsibility to my, you know, I'm like, okay, I got to keep track of like, who do I owe the, you know, so.
I mean, so I've dabbled in crowdfunding. I'm actually trying to do crowdfunding right now because we've got our 10-year anniversary show coming up in December. And we booked a venue out in Roswell, New Mexico. Okay. Because that's where this.
Oh, is this what the festival thing you've been posting about?
Yes.
Okay, I've seen that.
Yes. And so I launched a crowdfunding, and it's just so hard because it's like, I hate just asking people for money. And it's like, hey, just kind of support this thing. And it's like, I'd much rather go get like a t-shirt and be like, hey, buy these t-shirts.
Right. And that's what's so hard is you want to like, you need that support and you need that help. But it's like, I need you to help me. But then can you wait like a 6-month waiting period at least, maybe longer until you get return, you know? Yeah. It's just, it's tough.
And it always blows my mind when you see people that they'll put out like a $15,000 fundraiser goal and they hit it in like 3 days. And
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Like,
and good on them. Like, I mean, I don't know. You know, it goes back to like filming yourself. It's like, I just have this, I don't know, I guess I'm too self-conscious to be like, hey, I'm good enough. Please help me. But also like, I'm not going to film myself. I don't know. It's just a weird thing.
So what I started, because I used to have that same complex where it's like, I don't like being in front of camera. I don't like just kind of talking to myself. And it creeped up on me yesterday, actually.
Oh, really?
It like, I'd done really well getting over it. But then yesterday, I tried to do like a live stream on Facebook. But I was doing it different. Normally, I'll just do it on my phone and just do it that way. And everything's kind of all confined. But I was doing it through my computer here. Okay. And there was like a 7-second delay. Oh. And so just kind of watching myself 7 seconds from the past, and I'm like, you could just see me kind of drifting away because I didn't want to look at myself. Like when I'm in the moment,
you're just doing your thing.
It's like I'm turning left, and like in the feed, it's turning left. It's like that's fine. But when there's that delay, it's like, this feels awkward. I need to stop. I need to, you know.
Well, and my thing is like I was saying earlier, like I don't mind doing the footage, but doing it myself, it is this weird. I don't know. Like, does anybody give a shit? There's so much noise. You know what I'm saying? Like, people care, but in that moment, you're like, is this dumb?
No, it's not dumb. It's, you know, it's just one of those things where you just got to kind of get into the like rehearsal of it, or into the wheel hamster, get in the hamster wheel.
And that's actually, I was talking to one of the producers of the Zach Owens show. We were talking about this, and he just said the exact same thing. Just record it, and you won't use it, you won't use it, and then eventually be like, okay, that's not too bad, you know, because I have like nothing on YouTube, especially new stuff that's like, you know, within the last year. So
you're almost better off just kind of doing it live and just like doing like a live stream, and then you don't really have a choice.
Right. And that's actually what he said too. He did for himself. He had like a private podcast. Yeah. And he was like, oftentimes I would just go live because then it was like, okay, you committed, you just got to do it.
Yep. Because I mean, I've done that before where I've gone live and then it's like, oh, 7 minutes in, this sucks. And then I just shut everything down. And everybody's like, what happened? Oh, the internet's gone down. Sorry, guys. I'll be back when I can.
Yeah, sorry. Wi-Fi just had a moment.
And luckily, like, here, people kind of buy it because, like, I'm in the back. And it's like, oh, yeah, he lives out in the weird part of Waco. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't call this the weird part of Waco.
No, definitely not the weird part of Waco.
But I will say, yeah, the internet going out, that's not completely out of left field, but I would pull that. It's like, oh, this live sucks, so I'm going to just pretend like my internet went down. So it is what it is. So you got the new music coming out next year. That's going to be exciting. And you said you're kind of finalizing the track list.
I've got a little in my phone, you know, the little notes. And so every day I kind of look at it and think, okay. And I chatted with Casey and, you know, got some feedback on what, you know, because I don't want to do too many tracks to where if I decide to do the album, I mean, the vinyl, then I have enough space to do that. So, yeah, it's just a matter of finalizing those and then just rehearsing.
Nice. And it'll be I'm assuming a full band project.
So I'm not sure yet. Casey and I talked about possibly having some brushes. I think that's the direction we're going to go. But, ever since I was a child, anytime I listen to music, I was very hung up on, if I hear you, whether it's a recording or a radio, like, I want to be able to see you in person and hear the same thing. And so my style is never overproduced. Like, that's just not who I am. I want it very, I say raw, but authentic and just genuine, I guess. Not to say that overproduced music isn't, but that's just more my style. So probably, maybe bass, but for sure lead guitar, and maybe some brushes.
Well, that conversation is an important one to have, because it's like once you kind of start recording music a certain way, people are going to expect that in your live performances. And if it's something that you can't recreate live, or it's hard to recreate live, it's like,
Right. And that's something that, especially for, like, I call them like homegrown artists, like if you go somewhere, like, for example, I did the Texas Music Cafe show with Matthew Payne and Bill Sibley, and they were fantastic. And I went home, on the way home, and I pulled their music up on Spotify, and it sounds the same.
Yeah.
And that's what I want.
Oh, yeah.
I want to be able to recreate that experience for me as the listener the same way I heard it when they were sitting right next to me.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because I've had several musicians where I fell in love with, like, their solo acoustic stuff, and then you go to a show and it's like a full band, and it's like, it's not the same. It's a completely different vibe. Or you fall in love with their full band stuff, and then all they do is play solo acoustic shows. It's
right.
That's a little bit of an easier transition, but it's still not the same.
Well, that was like, so my husband's from South Africa, so a lot of, like, Texas music culture, like, he's been here a long time, but I find myself often, like, teaching him. He's definitely more into, like, pop and, like, pop culture and, like, rap, and just a totally different genre that is, like, out of my realm. And I listen to it with him sometimes, but it's just so unfamiliar to me. But he had learned about Chris Knight, and Chris Knight was playing at the Hippodrome. And I said, we've got to go see him, because I'd never seen him in person. And he came out, and the first half of his set was the full band. And I was so sad. I was like, I wanted to just hear him, because over all the years, I've always just listened to, his old stuff. That was just basically him and his guitar. But then they had a very brief break, and he came out with just his guitar.
Nice.
And my husband was like, that was so much better. I was like, I know. Don't get me wrong. Like, the full band was great. But like you say, like, you get used to that sound and that artist and where you were when you heard that song, and then now you get to hear it again with him live on stage, and it's just like, it hits you, you know?
Has your husband seen Searching for Sugarman?
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. We watched that several years ago.
Yeah.
And, I love Rodriguez. Yeah. That was, I think I've watched that too many times. Right. But
I've only seen it once, and I need to get a better, because I found it, like, on YouTube randomly.
Oh, yeah. You need to. I think it was on Netflix for a long time.
I tried to, for whatever reason, whenever I get Netflix, I always get, like, the cheap version, and there's certain stuff that I can't
you don't get. Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought this was just supposed to be like...
This should be a business expense, because it's part of your research and development, okay?
Yes.
I'm going to need you to step it up.
It happened. But my buddy was telling me about this, and I'm like, wait a minute, for real? He's like, yeah, this is like an actually really good documentary, and my cousin's husband's from South Africa.
Okay.
And I asked him about it. He's like, yeah, man, that's like...
He was like Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
And my father-in-law, he's now passed, but I remember talking to him about that, and he was like, oh yeah, we loved him, and we actually threw a 70th birthday party for him, and he loved the Beatles, and so I did the Beatles and Rodriguez throughout the whole party. So,
that's great. I love it. Yeah. I figured I'd just throw that one out there, because
it's
like,
for sure.
Anytime somebody says South Africa, it's like
Sugar Man. Oh, it's so good. I can hear. We got to listen to it on the way home now.
Nice. I love it. And then, other than that, for people to find you online, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, so old school. I got a full website that's got all the information. But I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I'm not on the TikTok. I need to get it together. I know. But whenever I released Haunted, it created like the official artist channel. So you can listen on YouTube, any major streaming platform, you can find it. I always just say, the reason I say like Texas Katie Stewart, I've always said that my name is so boring. Like, there could be a million Katie Stewarts, and but I'm the Texas Katie Stewart, so that's why I always say that.
Yeah.
So
I picked that up on I think it was on your Instagram or something.
Yes.
I was like, wait a minute, do I need to introduce her as Texas?
Yeah,
Katie?
yeah. And some people ask me that. I'm like, I mean, you can, but you don't have to.
Fair. As, before we wrap this up,
Yeah.
who are you listening to locally? Like, who's really got your ear here, and maybe not even just Waco, but like Central Texas?
Yeah. Honestly, I want to say that Matthew and Bill just kind of reinvigorated my interest. I used to play with Luke LaGrange. He used to be in South Austin, but I think he's in Dallas now. And Luke's got a great, I'm sure he's written several original songs since I've last been performing with him. But he has a great set. He plays in Dallas a lot. But Matthew Payne, he's got some great songwriting material. He plays a lot in Austin.
Yeah.
And Bill Sibley is definitely more of that kind of grungy blues. Almost that really traditional. It's this really interesting mix because he plays country blues, but it's his own like flair. It's really good. And he actually, he lives in the Fort Worth area, but he plays a lot in Dallas.
Yeah. For sure. Nice. That's always the hard part because there's a lot of people that'll come down to Waco, but they live up in like Fort Worth or they live down in Bell County, and it's like, cool. So I just got to kind of wait for the next time you're up this, unless I want to go down to like, what is it? What's the pizza place down in Belton?
Scores. Yeah, I used to play there. Yeah. I do miss seeing people playing live. I mean, that's having my little family now. It's difficult to get out in the evenings. I can, but it's it's the whole like.
And you got to make sure you're going to the right place because you don't want to go to like the dive bar and take. Well,
I'm okay. Well, yeah, Antonella stays home. But
right. It's like you don't want to take your kids.
Yeah, but actually, I have a friend, Joel Wood. I played with him years ago when I very first started playing music, and he plays a lot, but it's like the timing is never right. And he's actually going to be playing a show, I think later this month, that's really close to my house. And so I'm like, we're going to be there and I can bring my daughter. And so I'm very excited to go support him.
Yeah. It's, I try and get out. I really do try and get out, but it's not always that easy because especially for whatever reason, everybody I want to go see, they always play on like Thursday night.
Yeah. Thursday's kind of a night. Yeah.
And it's like, I got to be at work at 8:30 in the morning, and I don't want to.
Yeah, especially if it's like a late show. Like Jason and I played at 7:30, and we played till 10. But I didn't realize his day job, he had to be up at like 4:30 in the next morning. And I was like, Jace, like you could have told me, He's like, well, I mean, it is what it is. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, thankfully I didn't have to be up that early, but still,
It's one of those things when you love it, you just kind of do it.
And that's Jace for sure. Like he's been so committed, and I looked for a guitar player for a long time, and I either found somebody that was committed but not quite up there or really talented and just didn't have a level of commitment. And Jace has been that perfect balance.
Nice. And how long have you been playing with him?
Roughly a year, I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right? I feel like maybe. I don't know. It's all time is a blur.
Right? Especially right now. It's just like, I looked at the thing and I was like, wait a minute. When did it become July?
I know. I'm like, whoa, we're halfway through this year. What just happened?
Right. I was like, I feel like we just got back from the March show in Bastrop. Like we did 2 shows this year in Bastrop, and one of them was in March. I was like, I feel like we just did that show. And it's like, no, that was 4 months ago.
Well, and that's why I met with Casey. I was like, okay, it's pushing a few years now. I haven't released music since 2023. It's time. Like, it's going to be 2026 before too long.
Right. And I think especially for you, figuring out a way to kind of do like solo acoustic stuff, something that maybe you could self-produce or stuff like that. I think that would be a really good play, especially when you have these ideas for bigger projects. Just doing like the occasional one-off like solo acoustic EP, like 4 or 5 songs, whatever. That might be a nice little turn.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'm always up to open to ideas and stuff, but I've just had such a arsenal of songs for so long that I'm like, I've been playing them for so long. I'm ready to just get them down and move on.
Now, was there at any point because you'd mentioned when you released Haunted that you had some songs that were kind of left over?
Yeah.
Was there any thought at any point of like, hey, let's just put these out as singles?
I did think about that, but I thought if I'm going to release a single here and a single there, like I might as well just save them and do it as an album.
Fair.
That was kind of my thinking.
Fair.
I actually thought about releasing What Kind of World because it's very relevant right now in terms of just inflation and just all kinds of stuff that I discuss in the I was gonna say the film in the song, but I thought, no, I'm just gonna save it, because interestingly enough, I've listened to some stuff from the 60s lately, and it's like it's all still relevant, and like some of the songs that I wrote for the next album I wrote 10 years ago,
really,
and it's still relevant. And so I'm like, okay, if it's still relevant, then I'm just gonna wait.
That's almost just as scary to think about how relevant music is from that far back.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're living in some crazy times.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
but, I do want to thank you so much for joining us.
Sure,
and
thank you for
hanging out
having
and
me.
Chatting, and didn't want to keep you here too long because I know, even though it is raining, and I think finally the rain has subsided a little bit. Did you hear it pick up?
I did. Yeah.
I was like, oh God, please don't. But,
no tornadoes today.
Yes, please. No tornado. Luckily, I didn't get a text message while we were sitting, because normally the meteorologists at the station will be like, send out an all-point bulletin like, oh, we're under severe weather. And it's like,
gosh, great.
cool, but I didn't see anything.